And in today's video, we're doing the mid-year book freakout. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And today I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hey guys, welcome to the mid-year book freakout tag. I said it right, yes. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Katie, and for those of you who are not new, my name is still Katie. You guys don't get anything special, it's still Katie. But by the title of this video, you know what I'm going to do. I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag, and it only took me 4 years to say that right. Because I think every year I said it wrong. It's fine. It's progress. So, if you are new to the book community or don't quite know what this book is about, this book tag is about basically every year in the middle of the year, booktubers talk about the books that they've read up to this point. So basically this tag is just a bunch of questions to kind of get an overview of how the reading year has gone so far. I've done this every year since I've been on booktube, so maybe not 2020 because I started my channel in 2020, so maybe I didn't do it then, but I did do it 21, 22, 23, so this is my fourth one. 21, 22, 23, yeah, I can't count, it's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the questions. I will leave them down below for you guys if you want to answer them in the description as well, or if you don't want to, that's fine. But there is something, okay, so a little overview of this year. I've read a total of 35 books. To some that's not a lot, to some that's a lot. To me that's a lot. I wanted to read 60 and I'm at 35. I would say that's good. So I'm getting props to myself. But also what I have like kind of learned about myself this year as I was going over these questions is that I've been reading a lot of my Kindle and not a lot of my physical books. But I keep buying physical books. So we have to do something. We have to fix that. Either I have to quit reading so much on Kindle, or I need to balance it out with some of the books that are physical, because I just keep buying physical books, and as you can see, they're just starting to stack up now because there's no room. But that's my problem, not your guys. Okay, so let's get into the first question now. Question one is what was it? I don't even know already. I've been doing this 4 years at this point. How do I not know? The best book that I've read so far. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about any of these books because I've talked about them at length before in other videos, but the best, I have two. I have two books because it's my channel and I can do what I want. The first book was the book pick for Paige and I's book club back in February. I had seen this book on Cheyenne's channel. Cheyenne is That Tall Book Girl. She recommended it. She said it was angsty, it will tear your heart out, and that is me. Like, those are the books I crave. I love those type of books. So I was like, you know what, Paige, let's read this. And we did. And it was like the only 6-star book that I read this year. Okay. Maestro by Auden Dar. This book is a tome, but look, it needs to be, okay? So the way to best explain this book is if you love A Love Letter to Whiskey, if you love the premise of right person, wrong time, this is your book. Because this is what this is. We are following our hero and our heroine as their life spans from the age of 13 to like 35. So it's over 20 years. And they start off as friends as teenagers. And then as they get a little older in their teens, they get together, and then something happens and breaks them apart, and we time jump 5 years. And then they get together again, and then something tears them apart. And then they get together again, and then something tears them apart. Oh my gosh, this book is so good, and I just don't see enough people talking about this book. So please, if you love angst and you love your heart being ripped out, but there's an HEA at the end, like, read it. Just read it. It's on Kindle, so like, you have no excuse, okay? It's so good. It's so good. The only 6-star. The only 6-star. And then the other best book that I read this year is like one that I'm kicking myself because I didn't read it sooner. Like, you know how that always is. Like, you hear a book that's so good and you're like, I can't read it. Because you're afraid that it won't live up to the hype, or you're just not going to like it as everyone else. And that was me. But I read it in February. Was it February? I read so many good books in February. It was my month. The Mind F series by St. Abbey. So good. So this is the Mystic Box bind up that they did, I think in December or November of last year. I hadn't read the books then, but I knew, like, subconsciously in my mind, I knew I was going to love these books because I know me. I know what I love to watch. I know what I love to read. So I knew that I was going to love this, and I did, and I'm so glad I bought this book. I thank myself every day. So if you don't know what this book is about, it is a set of 5 novellas that all, you know, each one's like 100 and some pages. So you can read this whole book in a day. Like, you totally could. And I read it on my Kindle. I didn't read this book. It's too pretty. I'm not, but yeah. So we are following Lana, and Lana is a serial unaliver. She is going around getting retribution on the men who did something very terrible to her and her brother when they were both younger. So look up trigger warnings for that. And just one day, you know, she meets Logan at a coffee shop, and Logan is an FBI profiler in the BAU who is just trying to find said serial unaliver, which happens to be her. So I love these books. I don't care what anybody says. Some people love them, some people hate them. I love them. If you love Criminal Minds and you love, like, getting into the minds of, like, you know, true crime, things like that, you're gonna love this book. And I didn't know how it was going to end. I really didn't. I'm like, how is this going to work out between you two? But it does. And it was so good. And I'm so sad that there's no other books by St. Abbey because they are no longer with us. But they sure left their legacy with this book. Okay, the next question is the best sequel that I've read this year. And I've only read one sequel, so this wins by default. Okay? So take this with a grain of salt. If it's not the best sequel, whatever. But I just finished The One I Stood Beside by Piper Rain, which is book 2 in the Plain Daisy Ranch series. And this series is about 3 brothers, and each book is a standalone. The first 2 are out right now. The third one doesn't come out until August. But in this book, we are following Jude, and Jude is the oldest of the brothers. So he's always been the one who had to take care of his brothers when their mother died at age 6. They grew up on a cattle ranch, and his father was very much like putting the responsibility on him to look after his brothers, to look after the ranch, to just kind of do it all. And when he was younger, he met this girl named Sadie, and they became best friends, and they've just grown up together. So this is definitely a childhood friends to lovers. Everyone in town thinks they're together or should be together, and like they're the only two, like, they see it. Like, they see that he's attracted to her, she's attracted to him, but they don't want to ruin the friendship ever. So they just never do anything about it. However, Sadie's father unexpectedly passes away, leaving his farm to her and her mom, but he has not paid the mortgage in over a year, and the bank is giving them about 2 months to pay a year's worth of mortgage or it's going to be sold. And she tries to get a loan, but she has nothing up for collateral that she can use. So the bank teller is like, you know what? You could get married and get a co-signer. And that's where Jude comes in. So they do this big fake marriage, fake wedding, but it's not fake because they both have feelings for each other. And it was good. It was so good. I really enjoyed this one. Best sequel, but it wins by default, so don't yell at me. Okay, next is a new release I haven't read yet. All of them. Look, I don't keep up with new releases. I don't. A lot of my TBRs, a lot of my books that I own are backlist books. There's just too many, so I don't keep up with, like, I see what books are coming out, but they're never, like, priority for me to be like, I need to read that. So that question is a dud. I do not have anything for that one. Okay, the most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. I have 3. So my first one is The One I Didn't See Coming by Piper Rain. This is book 3 in the series, and it is following Emmett, who is the youngest brother. He's kind of like a playboy. He's the baby of the family, and he is about to get what he gives, if that makes sense. Like, he's a Spitfire, and in this last book, they were talking to Emmett, and one of the girls was like, I can't wait until you meet someone who like gives it right back to you. And this is definitely going to happen in this book, because we saw a little bit of their dynamic in the second book when they meet. So it's going to be very interesting. So I'm excited for that. Plus, the covers of these books are gorgeous, and I am an aesthetic queen, and I love covers of books. If it's a pretty cover, I'm going to buy it. Do I know what it's about? No, but I'm going to buy it. And the covers of these books, gorgeous. Okay, the second book is Delicate Escape by Catherine Cowles. So I read Fragile Sanctuary this year. Loved it. It was my first Catherine Cowles. So excited. And now I'm just excited to continue with the series, because it's one that I can actually keep up with, because they're not all out yet. So I don't have to binge them. So that was why I read Fragile Sanctuary, because it was a new series. So I was like, I can keep up with this. So loved it. So I'm definitely excited for the second book. And then the last book is Bourbon and Secrets, or I can't even tell you, but it's Bourbon Boys #2 by Victoria Wilder. So I had read a book previously by her in her previous series, and I can't remember what the series is called. It's bugging me. It's fine. But she had a new series come out starting this year, and it was the Bourbon Boys, and it's about, again, 3 brothers, a pattern here, and their family owns a distillery, so it evolves around that, but I'll talk about that a little later, because it's one of the questions. Okay, the biggest disappointments of the year. I have two, which is sad, but it's fine. The first book was a thriller that Paige and I read for our book club, and that was The Housemaid. Was it The Housemaid? Yeah, this is the first one. This was okay, but I was expecting more, I guess, because so many people are like, this book is so good, it's so hyped, and the twist was just okay. In my book, it was just okay. And I don't know if it's because I've read so many thrillers at this point to where nothing is exciting me. I don't know. But this was just okay. I guess I gotta tell you what it's about a little bit. So basically, we're following a girl, and I can't remember her name, so that's great. And she gets a job as a housemaid to this family. It's a husband, a wife, and a daughter. And basically, you feel like you're going nuts the whole book, because the wife gaslights her the entire time, and you just don't know what's happening. You just don't know until you find out, and then it's like, oh. Okay. Like I said, it wasn't like this big shock to me. It was okay. Will I continue with the series? Possibly. If it gets better. I don't know. So if it gets better, let me know. And then the second book that was a disappointment to me was The Pucking Roll Number by CRJ. I still own this only because I had to do this video. It will be leaving my house once this video is done. I don't know what it was. It was okay. This is a dark hockey romance, and I don't know what it was. It was okay, but like, it wasn't for me. So basically, at the beginning of this book, the hero accidentally texts the heroine, wrong number, and they keep texting, and then he stalks her, and then he does everything in his power to get her to like be with him. Like, he invades her life, gets her fired, all this stuff, and then that's basically it. It was okay. I think I gave it 3 stars. This just wasn't for me. Some people love this series. Great. I don't know if I'll continue. So that's that. I don't want to talk about books that disappointed me so much. Okay, the biggest surprise of the year goes to Maestro. Look, this is going to be my favorite book of the year. I know it is. Like, this book was so good. And the only reason it's a surprise is because it was from an author I'd never heard of. And I always go in a little hesitantly when I read a book from an author I've never read. But because it was angsty, and just because it was everything that I love in a book, I loved it. Because it was just on a whim. Like, I was watching Cheyenne's channel, she talked about this book, and I'm like, it sounds really good, so I put it on my, like, 24 books to read in 24, and then Paige was like, well, let's read that for our book club, and I was like, yes, let's do it, and I did it, and I will forever be thankful to Paige for picking the book for us to read. It was, I just love it. Plus, he's gorgeous. Like, okay, so he's blonde, and if you don't, you know, but a lot of people don't like blonde heroes for some reason. Like, I'm not picky. I'm not picky. But if you are picky, just imagine him with brown hair, because, like, it's fine. You can imagine him with brown hair. It's perfect. He's perfect. I gotta move on. Okay, I have another book for this. So another surprise to me was Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles, only because, again, it was from an author I never read. And I'm like, okay, can she live up to the hype? Because this one I had heard of. I have heard of this author. She's everywhere on Instagram and booktube, TikTok, everything. So I was like, am I going to enjoy this book, enjoy this author? But I did. This is a romantic suspense, and it was my first romantic suspense, and I loved it. And I've heard so many people talk about this book compared to her other books, saying that they don't know what she put in this, but it's like one of their favorites. So now I'm scared to go back and read the other ones. Like, are they going to be as good? I'm sure they will be, but like, yeah. But I absolutely loved this book. Okay, favorite new author. I have two. Look, it's just a thing. So the first one is Piper Rain. So they're technically not new to me. I have heard of them before. My sister had read their books in a previous series, except I only had read one of their books, but this year I read 5. So they have 2 pen names. They have Piper Rain, and then they have P. Rain. P. Rain is their dark romance pen name, and then Piper Rain is their contemporary romance. So I've read 5 books total from both pen names. So I can definitely say that I am getting into my Piper Rain era, and I'm not mad at it. So definitely enjoy and if you don't know, they're a duet, so that's why I keep saying they. So, and then the second one is Victoria Wilder, because Bourbon and Lies was so good. It was so good. If you haven't read it yet, do it. Look at the cover. It's gorgeous. Read the book. I loved it. Yeah. I can't wait for the other books in the series to come out. And I definitely have to go back and read that other series that she has put out. So I read the second one in that series, and I have to go back. I think there's like 3 or 4 in that series. Next is Newest Fictional Crush, and so for that I chose 3. Because why choose one man when you can have 3? Okay? Okay. First off, Grant from Bourbon and Lies. This man is a broody mess, and I loved him for it, okay? I can't remember if he's the first son, second, third. I'm getting the feeling he's the middle son in the siblings of the boys. And he starts off the book in the prologue as a detective, and he experiences a very tragic thing that happens, and he decides to retire and go work at the distillery. And he takes his dog with him, the canine. Her name is Julep, and she's the star of the book, okay? She's, in her own right, she is a hero in this book. And he's just so grumpy and so standoffish because of everything that's happened. But when he meets the heroine, and he's like, there's something about her, because she's in the witness protection, and he doesn't know that. But his police spider, they're tingling, okay? His spider senses are tingling, and he just knows there's something up. And they have these cute little nicknames for each other in the book, and I'm a sucker for a nickname. I'm a sucker for a nickname, okay? And I loved them. And then my second one is Anson from Fragile Sanctuary. He is also a former FBI profiler. So there's something about cops, apparently. But he's another grump, okay? He's had a lot of tragedy happen in his life as well, which, again, has him standoffish to ever wanting to, like, be close with the heroine. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember the heroine's names in any of these books. It says something about me. It really does that I can remember the men and not the women. But again, he would do anything for her. He's protective. Great guy. And then the third is Cole from The Birthday List, and he is a cop. So this year is the year of cops, apparently. And I'm oogling them, and it's fine. But Cole is not broody. Cole is not grumpy. Cole is your top tier cinnamon hero, okay? If you want a hero who will do anything for the heroine to make her happy, will take his time because he knows that she needs to take things slow, like, that's Cole. That is Cole. It's just, read The Birthday List by Daphne Perry if you haven't read it. It's so good. Oh my gosh. So good. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm gonna blush. I'm smiling too much. It's hurting my face. Okay, next is my newest favorite character, and for that, I went ahead and chose, where'd she go? She's right here. Lana. Because I am nothing but a good for her type of person. And this book is the ultimate good for her. Okay? She's doing what she needs to do. You do you, boo. She is doing it. Okay? And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. In real life, yes, we can't do that in real life. But in the books, we're gonna do it. And we're gonna cheer for the girl. We're gonna cheer for her to do what she needs to do. And I did. So Lana is definitely my new favorite character. Next is a book that made me cry. I don't cry a lot, guys. I cry a lot. But I'm so productive. So it evens itself out. Okay? So for this book, I chose What I Should Have Said by Max Monroe. Okay, so this book, and the reason I cried, is because of one of the side characters. And so look up trigger warnings for this book. You will not find any trigger warnings in the book because I chose not to do that, which I feel like, because of the content of the book and why I cried, should be a trigger warning for some people. So basically, the hero, heroine do not get along first. She is set to get married, and she gets a letter, an envelope on her wedding day, and what's inside, she's like, okay, I cannot marry this man. And she books it. She's like, I'm out of here. She's like, I can't marry him. And she goes with her luggage to Vermont to go visit her estranged sister that she hasn't seen in a long time. And the bus leaves her off at the far end of town. She's got to get to the other end of town. And so she's like walking with her Louis Vuitton luggage, you know. And she pretty much like stops this man's truck. And she's like, hey, please, I need a ride. And that is our hero. And he is like, oh, dear Lord. He's like, look at this, what just came into my truck. Because he's broody. And he's broody and a grump. And when she gets nervous, she talks a lot. So we get the inner monologue of this man, and he's like, she's a pain in the butt. She will not shut up. And eventually he's like, get out. He's like, get out of my truck. You're bugging me. You're a pain. And of course, like, she makes it to her sister's house, and he makes sure that she makes it. He watches her. But eventually they have to work together. She becomes his assistant. And he has a terminally ill daughter who has fragile bone syndrome. And hence why I'm not saying what made me cry, but you can kind of guess what made me cry. But I loved this book, but check your triggers, because they did not put any at the beginning of the book, and I feel like that scene in particular, because it's on page, is a trigger. Books that made me happy. Let's talk about happiness. Okay. 1, The Birthday List by Daphne Perry. This is book 1 in the Mason Jars duet. It's not really a duet. They're standalones. But in this book, we are following Piper. It's a P. And at the beginning of the book, the prologue, she loses her husband. And her husband had a birthday list of all the things he wanted to do before each birthday. So she makes it her mission to kind of do that. Well, 5 years later, she goes to a karate class as one of the things on the list, and she meets our hero, whose name is Cole. Remember Cole from the fictional boyfriends? Yep, that's him. And he was actually the cop that came to her house to let her know what had happened to her husband 5 years earlier. And when he finds out that she's doing this list to complete it, he is on board. I tell you, he does everything for her to make sure this list is complete. And he's, oh my gosh, it just made me so happy to see her growth and to see him be so patient and so kind with her as she was growing and dealing with it. Oh, so good. So good. I'm so glad I read it. Okay. Next is the most beautiful book that I got this year. Now, one, I cannot remember what books I bought this year, what books I haven't bought this year, because, y'all, I do book hauls every month that are at least like 20 to 30 books each haul. You expect me to remember which books I bought this year compared to last year. It's not happening. Also, I feel like the most beautiful books are like always special editions. Not always, but majority of the books that are so beautiful are special editions. And like you cannot get them anymore. I love Mystic Box Birthday Girls edition. I think that's a beautiful book. I will never find it. I am never going to find it. And when I do find it, it's like $2,000 and I'm just not spending that. You are out your mind. I know, I mean, it's a unicorn for a reason because you're never going to get it. It's rare. You're never going to get it. Like, that's beautiful, but I know I'm never going to get it. So also, like, I don't want to show, like, be like, look at my beautiful book that's a special edition that you guys will never get because it was a special edition, you know? So, like, we're not doing that question. And then the last question is, what books do you have to read by the end of the year? And I'm going to end this the same way I do every year with all of them. Just all of them. There's none in particular that I'm like need to read. I just want to read them all. So and I think that's everyone's answer to that. It's all of them, all the time. But yeah, that is the book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, if you want to do it, I'll leave the questions down below and you can answer in the comments. Or if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. But I am going to tag somebody to do this because I haven't seen her do it yet. And I'm going to tag my book club bestie Paige from Paige's Open Book. I will leave her channel linked down below for you guys if you want to go check her out and subscribe. She reads a lot of romance, thriller, some horror. She does it all. But I will leave her to do this. So I pass it on to you, Paige. But if you enjoyed this, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you're new, I would love for you to stick around. My social media is linked down below as always. My Goodreads, my Instagram, to stay more up to date and behind the scenes of what I'm reading. But I hope you guys are having a great day or evening, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.